Alright, what's up guys? Welcome to GameChamp. Before we get into the video, I'd just like to say that I'm Jay Stilla and I do stream every day almost around 6 to 8 p.m. PST. So if you guys wouldn't mind dropping me a follow over there, I like to play Valorant. Sometimes we'll play some other games, but right now I'm going to try to be climbing, try to get to at least Immortal. We'll see how that goes. But that's just a personal goal of mine. And now without taking up too much time, let's get into the whole point of the video, which is going to be the top agents for Valorant solo queue. Alright, so for Valorant solo queue, you're gonna, depending on how you want to play the game, there's going to be different types of agent classes, I guess, or types, and those are going to be your duelists, your controllers, your initiators, and your sentinels. Now keep in mind there is a benefit when you're doing solo queue even to having a decent team comp, but I do believe that with any comp you can pretty much get to at least gold, because for most of the part not a lot of people work together in the lower elos as far as I've been seeing. So if you have an agent that you do enjoy and that you perform well on, that's fine. But I'm just going to break down a little bit as to what all these classes do. Now, so what are the four classes? I named duelists first, so let's start with duelists. Now your duelists are what a lot of tactical shooters refer to as your entry fraggers for the most part. Entry fraggers are going to be the first ones through a site or onto a site, depending on what it is you're trying to do, whether it's taking any sort of map control. Usually your duelists will be the first ones to take any, I guess, hard areas on the map. And as an entry fragger, you're going to want to be the ones taking that front role when pushing sites and getting most of those first blood kills on your team. As far as that's about as far as your role goes, because a lot of duelists have in their kit the abilities to take a site or to hard peek corners more safe than other agents. So that's the role that your duelist will be playing. So if you're more of an aggressive player, you might want to look into some duelists. And then the next one after that is going to be your controllers. Now your controllers do pretty much what the name says. They're controllers. They control the map. They have things like smokes. For example, Viper is a controller. She has a wall that goes through walls, so you can set up pretty narrow angles depending on what it is you're trying to do on your team. But for the most part, you're helping your team gain control of the map, and that's what your role is as a controller. Now, after controllers, you have your initiators, which are more or less the supports for the duelists. So you're gonna have, like, there's only two initiators, which is Sova and Breach right now, and those initiators pretty much have a kit that allows your duelists to get onto the site a little easier. I guess you can replace an initiator or replace a duelist with an initiator in the team comp, and it can perform the same thing. It's just that it would take two people. For example, the initiator would set up for someone else who doesn't have those entry fragger kits in order to peek or enter an area of the map safer. And I'll get more into detail on that later. And then the last class, which is I guess the closest thing you'll have to a support in Valorant, which is your sentinels. Now, like initiators, there's only two sentinels right now, being Sage and Cypher. I'll get into what they do later, but for the most part they're your support classes, and you're going to be more expected to play safer, more towards the back of the team. Now, so let's get into some of the top agents that you want to be using in solo queue if you're a duelist main. Like, you want to be a duelist, you enjoy being aggressive. Now keep in mind, as a duelist, a lot of people are going to expect you to either get the most kills on the team or at least be being aggressive and helping the team push onto a site or taking that almost like taking an in-game leading role for your team in a competitive match. So the best advice I would have to you as a duelist, if you're going into a solo queue game, is to try to be as vocal about your plays as you can be. So make sure that your team knows that you're about to go in, or that you're going to make aggressive plays here. So at least have 1 or 2 people with you to support you, in terms of if you say entry into a site, they're there to refrag the kill if you are to die. And so the top ones I would recommend right now is Reyna for solo queue. I just say Reyna because she has the snowball potential. So if you can get a kill, right, with Reyna, she has her E's and her Q's, which I want to do that. So she has her E's and her Q's, which helps her to just kind of snowball. So if you get a kill, you can kind of take that orb on your E and become, I guess, unkillable, immune for a certain duration, where you can easily like get a kill. If there's somebody else there, you E out, or say if you take a 1v1, no one's around, you take a little damage, you just hit your Q, and it can pretty much heal you all the way back up and get you ready for another fight after that. And then she has her C, which is a leer. Anybody looking at that is blind, or looking in that direction. If they see it on their monitor, like in their POV, they're going to be blinded. So a lot of your duelists are going to be having things like this, which are kind of blinds and stuff, just to kind of help you. Say if there's somebody like around this corner, you can throw something out like a little bit closer to the corner. They have to shoot it, and it gives you like you can more safe. Okay, let me get my words straight. So you can more safely, either way, you can check that corner a lot safer than if you were to do it without that blind. So I would fully recommend her, because even with, and especially when you have her ult, her ace potential is huge, because when she ults, you kill someone, you take this, it makes you invulnerable and it heals you. So you can pretty much chain your kills into you can chain your kills and pretty much get an ace if you know what you're doing and you have a good setup, and everybody just keeps giving you 1v1s. Because the only way to really counter her ult is to have a double peek, and if say she kills one, the other person has to hurry up and kill her before she can take that E or her Q and heal up all the way and just go invulnerable. So I would say for solo queue, she's really strong. She's not that strong for team play right now. I feel like it might just be because there's if you can't get kills on Reyna, she's pretty much useless, right? So if you are not confident in your shooting ability and your ability to kind of win 1v1s at least, then I wouldn't choose Reyna, and I would recommend more of like a Phoenix. Phoenix is pretty much like Reyna, but just a little safer, as far as he's still useful even if you're not getting kills. So if you're like trying to check a site over here, if you have your ult, it's pretty much a free entry onto a site. If everybody's following up with you, you check corners, check all your corners without fear of dying, because if they kill you, you just go back. And your team just follows with you right behind, and you guys take control of a site almost for free. I say free, but depending on what your team comp is like or how your teammates shoot, it could fail. But for the most part, his ult is huge for getting onto a site and just kind of taking map control without having any fear or having any negative consequences to it. And so he could also heal himself if he takes damage. You throw this down, you can heal, as well as this. So that self-healing is huge, because you'll find a lot of sages, even though they're really good in team comps, they tend, depending on if it's a good sage or a bad sage, excuse me, you'll find out a lot of times that the sages will heal themselves over healing you. So having a self-healing ability as a duelist is also huge, because you can take a fight, and if your sage has heal down, it doesn't matter, because then you have your E, which is free, and it also heals you. So those are going to be like my 2 recommendations for duelists. If you're more of that entry fragger style, you like to be aggressive, you like to get in to the sites, you like to make sure your team is gaining ground and not just sitting in the back waiting for the timer to go down. These are two really good duelists. Now I'll mention Jet because you'll see a lot of clips online of a lot of the top players playing Jet, and Jet is good, don't get me wrong, but she is definitely more so someone who is at that level of those pro players. Because if your aim is just on fire, you have Jet. If you hit her ult, you're just killing everybody. So it definitely takes more aim and more skill to use her because it's real punishing. You dash, it takes a second to get your gun out. So if somebody can hit their shots on you, and you're pretty much vulnerable when you do this. The only cool thing is like being able to control her smokes, I guess. I wouldn't recommend using her unless you are trying to have some clips for YouTube or something. And yeah, so let's move on to your controllers. Now your controllers, you have Viper, you have Brimstone, and you have Omen. Now Omen is definitely a higher tier pick, but I would for sure recommend Brimstone over Omen or any of the other controllers because of how precise you can be with your smokes. So like you get a full view of the map and you can precisely put down your smokes to like cut off different chokes. If you're on defense, if you're trying to push through there, you can just make them blind and they have to come through the smoke, or if you hear them trying to push the smoke, throw one of those down. They can't get through without taking some damage. If you put it a little bit towards the back, they won't see the molly until they're in the smoke and they take some free damage. That's a trick I like to use. And he's also really good for if someone gets a plant down, you can just sit off the site. If it's a 1v1, give them the site, just let them have it. Wait till you hear him going for the plant. Just hit that ult. Buys you time. They can't plant because you got ult to the site, and then you can also delay a lot that way. It's also good for attacking because if you're the last one alive, you guys plant the bomb. You can molly the bomb, ult the bomb, burns a lot of time off of your countdown. So Brimstone is definitely by far my favorite controller, and I feel like it's very good in any competitive team comp because those pinpoint accurate smokes are huge. Now I'll mention Omen. Viper, don't choose Viper right now. She did get a buff, but her abilities aren't as useful as other controllers, so I will not recommend her versus any of the other controllers. So Omen is huge. He is high risk, high reward. Now he has really accurate smokes. As you can see, you can put accurate smokes just like Brimstone, except you're really vulnerable when doing it. You can't see yourself. You can kind of switch it to a different view by pressing R, and then on a mini map you can see where it is you're putting your smoke. So, and he also has a really good blind now. Like they buffed his blind. Anything that touches that purple animation, they're gonna get blinded. So he's good on attack as well. Can also be a support for your entry fraggers. Kind of let them just blind a corner and then have your entry fragger go in. And he also has a teleport, which is where his high risk, high reward start coming in. So his teleports are huge. It makes a sound notification, but it's not that. I haven't found the sound notification to be too pinpoint accurate where they know exactly where you teleported. They just know where you teleport, and from that information they can know that you might have moved, so that you can outplay people by acting like you're teleporting out, teleport right on the same spot, and watch them check the next angle. And then his ult is also the same way, where say someone's in like a heaven position, you just TP right on heaven. You can use it for information. Like you hit your ult, look around, then you can cancel it by pressing your ult again to see if you can get some information that way. It's almost like a free information, like a Phoenix ult, except with the Phoenix ult you can have the ability to get a kill as well, as opposed to Omen only being able to maybe get some information or get a really big flank depending, but his flanks don't always work. You have to be real creative with it, which is why I say high risk, high reward. Alright, And then let's move on to initiators. So the next two, initiators and sentinels, there's only two of those classes, so I'll just talk about both of them and I'll tell you why one's better or the other, or why you should choose one over the other. So for initiators, you have Sova and you have Breach. Now I would recommend Breach if you haven't played Sova, because Sova is a little bit more skill based as opposed to Breach, because if you play Breach as an initiator, right, you want to support your entry fragger. So say your entry fragger wants to come into this site, say this is the site, and you have two corners here, right? So as a Breach, you can hit this, make sure that corner is clear, and make it so your entry fragger just has to clear this corner. If you guys already cleared like the rest of the site, that's clear now because you use that utility there, and then you can go like that. Or you can clear this corner, no one's there, you hit this flash and let your entry fragger peek it for free without having to spend any of their utility. As well as also having your earthquake or shatter, whatever you want to call it, which anybody that steps on that gets concussed, and so they pretty much, it turns any gun into just a pistol where they have to shoot like this, their screen's all messed up. Now if you're playing Breach in solo queue though, it's a lot of talking, so not a lot of initiators are played in solo queue because you need communication in order to get the most out of it. So his ult is just like his E, except it hits like an AoE, like you can clear a whole site and it's like a wave, but as soon as that goes off, you want your team following it in. You guys want to keep walking with it. So that's why I say it takes a lot of communication, because when you're using these abilities, you want to make sure someone's there to capitalize off of it, because Breach can't really peek his own flashes. He can, but the person might be blinded, and then as he's peeking, his vision's starting to come back. So it's kind of a lot like a Phoenix flash, where you kind of want to have someone there to help you out. But like I said, since you want to support your entry fraggers like Phoenix, instead of him using his flash, you use yours for him to be able to take a hard peek a little safer. Alright, now Sova would be my number one recommendation if you do practice him, because he is a lot about angles. If you can get some angles down on all the maps, so you can get some really good arrows that kind of scan like this box, or get an arrow that you can, I don't know, maybe like just lob and just check these two corners, but from like more crazy angles. You can use him right away, but like I said, he's a lot of a support character for a duelist, because like his C is huge for pushing onto a site as long as you have someone following it. So you have someone following this, clear those corners, they take that part of the map, come through here, clear these corners, they take more of the map without having to risk face checking all those corners. And then his ult, obviously, he just shoots this like across the map. Anybody hit by that is revealed to the rest of your team on the map, so you guys can all know where they are. So I guess you could use it to blind check for information on a site, or just use it as the same as like a brimstone ult. If you plant, say like right here, you hear someone touch it, just start blasting it, keep them off the bomb, buy more time. And those are going to be your initiators. So like I said, Breach if you haven't really practiced with Sova, but I'd highly recommend practicing with Sova if that's more of your play style, kind of information gathering or helping out your entry fragger. You like to be aggressive, but you don't want to be the first one in. Alright, last one, Sentinels. Alright, let's talk about Sentinels, because Sentinels is a huge thing in Valorant Pro compositions right now, because a lot of people have been saying that Sage is the only one with a heal. So she is huge, right? Like you would think every team comp wants somebody who can just heal anybody, and it's free, they don't have to buy it. But a lot of pro comps like TSM just won a bunch of tourneys just without all their comps. You don't require a Sage, and they just play really aggressive really fast, and they're kind of being one of the first ones to kind of change the first meta that we've all assumed was at least having a Sage. But I would recommend playing Sage as the first choice if you want to be a support player, more of a support agent player, because of the heals. But please, if you're a support Sage, stay at the back. Try to make the most use of your heal by healing your other teammates. Like if someone's playing entry fragger, if he goes in, takes a fight, takes damage, make sure you have that heal up for him so he can clear again, at least be able to clear 2 areas of the map at full health, or full health without armor. And then you also have your ult, which reses anybody that dies. So if you're in a 1v2 situation and you can get to a teammate's body, res him, you turn into a 2v2, which is huge, and it kind of evens out the game. Or if you're 4v4, you guys are matched up, you can heal your dead teammate, and now you guys are in a 5v4 situation where you guys can kind of trade out the rest of the round and almost guarantee a victory. And that can win or lose you even an entire game based on the economy at the time. So Sage is huge. She has her walls. She's more huge on defense than offense. If you're on attack, she's only really useful for heals and reses. You can use her wall to cut off a site, but that's only after you take it. So if you take this, like I've been using this as an example as a site, you take this site, you can use her wall to kind of cut off one of the entrances, so your teammates just have to worry about these 2 instead of 3 entrances, right? So she's huge. She has a slow. Slows are okay. Kind of helps you buy time too. If you hear someone coming through one of those other 2 entrances, you just slow that one, kind of kill some time over there, make them have to walk or make them have to make some noise and run through it really slow so that they're an easy target. So Sage is definitely going to be my #1 Sentinel recommendation, just for that reason. And you can heal yourself if you want to be that player and make yourself an entry fragger and just be like a battle Sage or something, but I wouldn't recommend it. Now Cypher is also really good. You may not need a Sage if you have a Cypher. Cypher is more useful on defense, I would say. He does have his uses on offense, but on defense is where his kit really shines. Because say like they have to come through here, or say you're trying to defend this area, right? So you can put traps all over the place, like, well, this would be crazy. So you can put like a trap right here. They have to walk through that, or they have to break it, and on the map you can see it shows you your trap. If they break it, or if someone rocks into it, you get notified. And then if you put like something there, if they hit it, you can immediately turn on that cage. They're stuck in a cage, it makes noise when they go through it. Cut off some of their sight. Say so you know that that attacking team has to push through this way. You can set up a camera right here and just kind of keep an eye out to see if they're gonna full send that site or not, because a lot of the times in lower elo solo queue, teams like to just full like rush a site. Everybody just full sends it. So if you can just have a camera set up with enough time for you to really notify your team early, let them know that, hey, they're all coming this way, and then you get off that camera, have a trap and a thing there. When they come through, they have to hit the trap. When they hit the trap, you hit the cage. All this stuff is to slow them down, and you have enough time for your team to rotate over. And pretty much I'll be set up probably on this site by the time the team is able to make it onto your site. So Cypher is really huge when it comes to defense. He's more useful on attack as like a lurker. So you sit at the back of the team, say your team's attacking this site, the other sites like on this side of the map, you throw a trap down here, you can throw a trap down, I don't know, somewhere like over here. And so like they have to break, you'll know if there's someone flanking you guys by your traps being set up at the back, while you guys can just fully focus on the front when you're pushing a site without worrying about a flanker coming around from one of the other sites and just kind of catch you guys off guard. Cypher's good for that. And also his ult is huge. When you kill somebody, he throws his hat onto the corpse and it reveals everybody, all of the enemy team's locations for like a second or something. It's just really quick, but it gives you that information to know where everybody's positioned on the map as far as enemy team, and that can be huge depending on what where you guys are in the round, and if you guys are say pushing this site, he's able to ult the corpse. You see all of them already set up on this site. You're immediately audible. Start running knife out all the way to the other site. Get the plant down and get set up to defend it. So Cypher is really good Sentinel. I guess I would recommend Cypher for solo queue if you don't want to worry about healing your teammates too much, or you don't worry about healing yourself. But I would recommend Sage just because of that heal. It comes up every like 45 seconds or 50 seconds or something like that. And that could be huge for yourself or for your team. So depending on how you play the game will determine which agents you play. So I just wanted to give an overarching breakdown of kind of the different agents they have and who would be good. I would mention Raze as a duelist as well. A lot of people like to play her. A lot of people find her cheesy. I am on the side of finding her a little cheesy. That's why I didn't really recommend her. It's almost like using an LMG. It's a little cheesy, but it does get you kills. Pretty much works in both scenarios. You know, say you take a fight with someone who's peeking this corner, he backs into that corner. That's just free kill, pretty much. So Raze is pretty good as duelist. A lot of pro players, like I think Hiko is a Raze main. So she's really good for just getting those frags, making sure to guarantee some kills. Because her whole kit is pretty much built to kill. Throw that in there, you just follow it in. They're forced to shoot it if it looks at them because it'll just blow up in their face. While they're shooting it, you just peek that corner, kill them. Or if they're in that corner, they shoot that. You throw that in there, they have to hop out. Kill them on the hop out. She's really good for fragging out. Not so much, I guess, there's not a lot of team synergy there for Raze. She's just meant to be a fragger. You're definitely like a full sending player if you play her. You just kind of want to get in that site, kill as many people as possible. So yeah, I mean her ult can be huge. If they're all coming through one corridor, you know they're all there. You just kind of satchel out. Okay, that's cool. But yeah, so Raze, honorable mention, I guess. No healing, no blinds. Just she would be, I guess, really good with like a breach. So he's able to flash. Somebody's over there. He flashes that way. You know, no one's there. So you flash there. All that sort of stuff. So yeah, Raze is really good too. Jet's more of a, I guess, highlight reel agent. But yeah, that about wraps up this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and a sub for some future videos like this. I am really into Valorant right now, so I will be making a lot of Valorant content. If you guys have any ideas or anything you want to see, leave them down in the description below. I might think about making a tips guide for a lot of the lower elo players, just on how to, I guess, game sense wise. Just let me know what you guys think about that. So thank you guys for watching, and like always, gamers, keep on gaming, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.